Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I feel like we have not had a trade show in quite some time. You know what we're doing? We're looking at Dynasty trades. Half of these trades came from members of flockfantasy.com. If you're a member of flockfantasy.com, you pretty much get your trade guaranteed to be on this trade show every single week. And the other half came from Twitter. But if you want to guarantee your trade to be on this show, if you want to get access to my Dynasty rankings, the Dynasty rankings of your favorite creators such as Fantasy Endgame, Fantasyland Football, Fantasy Stock Exchange. You want exclusive articles, exclusive videos, exclusive live streams. You can find the link to flockfantasy.com in the comment section and the description. If you sign up with promo code FLOCK, I will go through and make a personalized podcast breaking down your Dynasty team. And also, you will get 30% off any subscription. I mean, right now we have 2-day free trials going, so make sure you're taking advantage of that ASAP. But I think that should be about it. Let's go through and let's dive into these trades. First one that I'm going to be looking at does come from a member in the Discord. This is going to be Chaka Khan. Recently went through his own Dynasty team, and we are going to be looking at Breece Hall for the 103 and 106. So what I really want to do is illustrate the difference between the value of rookie picks in Superflex versus a one quarterback league. Of course, you can find both my Superflex and one QB rankings on flockfantasy.com, but with the 103, 106, they're almost entirely different players that you're selecting if it's a one QB league versus Superflex. If it's a one quarterback format, we can assume Bijan going at 1. Afterwards, you have any combination of JSN, Jahmyr Gibbs. Pretty much those two guys will be 2 and 3. So you're just going to get whoever's left over between those two players. But then once we get down to the 106, you really don't know what you're going to get, because we can assume that you probably have Quentin Johnston, Jordan Addison going 4 and 5. So as of now, you would assume that 106 pick Zach Charbonnet. Of course, the NFL draft may change a few things. But if we were looking at that one QB league, just say you're going to end up getting JSN and Zach Charbonnet. Whereas if it's going to be a Superflex Dynasty league, that 103 is going to be a quarterback. That 103 is either going to be one of Anthony Richardson, CJ Stroud, Bryce Young. In my mind, that's going to be the tier of rookies that you have from picks 2 through 4, whatever order you like. So you're going to get, in my mind, a cornerstone quarterback to build your team around for the future. And with that 106, I think you're also going to get either JSN or Jahmyr Gibbs, because say we have Bijan 1 and then afterwards Stroud, Young, Richardson, whatever order you like, then we have 2 guys left over for the 105, 106. I kind of throw Will Levis into that tier, but we don't have to go down that road. So you're going to be looking at still getting Jackson Smith-Njigba or Jahmyr Gibbs at the 106. So all of this goes to say, if I'm playing in a one quarterback format, you know what? I'm probably going to keep Breece Hall. I think you can make an argument that Breece Hall is possibly the running back 1 in Dynasty. I don't want to guarantee that he is the RB1. I mean, it could be a Bijan Robinson very easily, but he will be up there. If it's Superflex and we can possibly get another very exciting running back or wide receiver prospect, and to go along with this, get an elite level QB, I don't mind the trade in Superflex. Just, you definitely want Breece Hall in one QB. Okay, this is also from flockfantasy.com. Let's go over and check this one out. It's going to be Deontay Johnson and Terrace Marshall. Keep in mind, you have no DJ Moore now for the Carolina Panthers. For Khalil Herbert, the 212 and the 312. In my mind, this is super simple. Give me Deontay Johnson over Khalil Herbert in the 212. The 212 is literally nothing. The 312 is almost nothing as well. I mean, your probability of actually hitting on rookie with that pick is so minimal, especially this year where I feel like we don't have much depth. With Deontay, I mean, hell, I crashed and burned with him this past season. We were drafting him a lot in redraft, specifically on Underdog Best Ball, but I still think that he has some value. Maybe the Pittsburgh Steelers' Kenny Pickett can improve this next season. Khalil Herbert's never going to catch the ball. Really don't know what the situation will be like in Chicago. And if we're going to be looking at what we have with Terrace Marshall, as of now, at the time of this recording, Terrace Marshall's the wide receiver 1 for the Carolina Panthers. Now, of course, they're probably going to add someone. Maybe even by the time you're watching this, they've added someone. But it looks like he's almost guaranteed to be on a football field. He was a decent prospect coming out of LSU. He had a decent amount of target volume this past year, and he probably is a quarterback upgrade. I'm assuming they're going CJ Stroud. I don't know if CJ Stroud's going to be that good, but he'll definitely be better than Sam Darnold, or at least probably will be. So I'm going to go Deontay Johnson as well as Terrace Marshall. Now, going over to our next trade, this is also from flockfantasy.com. It's coming out from Raisins. It says Austin Eckler, Amon-Ra St. Brown for the 109 2024 second and Treylon Burks in a 10-team full PPR league. Okay, so if I'm going to be looking at Eckler, I think we need to discount him, thinking there's an outside chance that he is not with the Chargers. Hopefully, by the time you're watching this, he's already signed that contract extension. He probably will stay with the Chargers. But anyway, I do think we have to put a slight discount on him. But even if we were to do so, I mean, I'm still going to prefer Austin Eckler over a 2024 second and Treylon Burks. If I'm going to be looking at Amon-Ra St. Brown versus the 109, oh my gosh, it's Amon-Ra St. Brown. It's not even close. So even if you're a little worried that Eckler may get traded out of Los Angeles, which would be a very bad thing, it's still Eckler and Amon-Ra St. Brown. Not even close here. Now, our next one coming out from another member of flockfantasy.com. 12-team Superflex tight end premium start 10. Traded Amon-Ra St. Brown, the 104, 204 for Justin Jefferson, and also to move up from the 109 to 108. So that second part of the deal doesn't really matter too much. Primarily, we are looking at trading away Amon-Ra St. Brown and the 104 for Justin Jefferson. Keep in mind, this is Superflex, so we are going to assume that 104 pick's probably Anthony Richardson. And I don't like the idea of paying this kind of price, selling both Amon-Ra St. Brown and Anthony Richardson, where in my mind, I think Richardson does have an extremely high ceiling from a fantasy football standpoint. I wouldn't be too surprised if he was a first or second round startup pick next offseason. But you know what? Justin Jefferson's almost guaranteed to be a first round startup pick next offseason. I'm probably still going to go with Justin Jefferson. I don't know. It is interesting. I really like Amon-Ra St. Brown. I feel like these are two trades that you can kind of gauge the value with St. Brown on, where one of them is not even close, and then the other one, the Jefferson deal, I think is interesting. Now, Cheeky Hobson coming out and asking what the market price is for Foster Moreau. Obviously, you have Darren Waller traded over to the New York Giants. Should you be excited about Foster Moreau? No. In my mind, you shouldn't. I understand, yes. He's had some flashes in years past. If I had to not joke around with this, I would probably say he's worth an early third-round rookie pick, late second-round rookie pick. If you're in a tight end premium format where you have to start two tight ends each and every week, of course, you would then go bump him up from there. But now let's go over to our next trade. This one is going to be a Trey Lance deal, where we are going to be looking at Trey Lance and George Pickens versus Kirk Cousins and Drake London. Now, Tan Solo reached out to me on Discord about this a while ago, and I had to tell him, my man, you know I cannot give you any advice on Trey Lance, because everything that I've ever said about Trey Lance in the past has burned me, has cost me a lot of money. We may or may not be looking at a Trey Lance versus Justin Fields trade later on. Now, this trade is interesting. In my mind, I will prefer Drake London at this point over Trey Lance. Even in Superflex, given the prospect Drake London was coming out of USC, given the market share numbers he had as a rookie, I am very excited about Drake London's future. So give me London over Lance. And if we were going to be looking at Kirk Cousins versus George Pickens, in Superflex, give me Cousins. With George Pickens in particular, I do think that this is a wide receiver that at the end of the day is probably a little overhyped. I mean, if we were going to be looking at what Pickens did his rookie year, yeah, he had some phenomenal highlight grabs, right? But Deontay Johnson still dominated the target share there. So I don't really understand where the George Pickens hype is coming from outside of a few primetime games where he made some spectacular grabs. Now, let's go over to our next trade, also coming out from Tan Solo. We did not get to see this one previously. Sold Derrick Henry for J.K. Dobbins in a future first. Solo's been a long time member of the flock. He knows he crushed this deal. Obviously, you're taking J.K. Dobbins in the 2024 first. I don't think it's close at all. Now, let's go over, instead of looking at the trades on flockfantasy.com, I think we got through all of those for the time being. Let's go and look at some trades that we grabbed from Twitter. This one going to be Sky Moore versus Elijah Moore. The time this was sent to us was before Aaron Rodgers has been traded, but we don't know if it's going to happen. The report we just got, Aaron Rodgers told the Jets, you better bring me 33-year-old Randall Cobb. you better bring me Odell Beckham Jr., and you better bring me Allen Lazard. Why the hell he wants those players, I don't know. Don't ask me. Does not speak well for Elijah Moore. I mean, I think Elijah Moore, in theory, should complement Garrett Wilson's play nicely. I love the prospect coming out of Ole Miss. I actually liked Elijah Moore coming out of Ole Miss much more than I liked Sky Moore coming out of Western Michigan. Obviously, Sky Moore in the much better situation. I will go with Sky Moore at this second. But if Rodgers is traded to the Jets and at the same time they don't add those veteran wide receivers, then things could change. Now, going over to our next one, we're going to be looking at Odell Beckham Jr., Laviska Shenault versus a 2025 second-round pick and a 2024 third. So, obviously, Laviska, probably the wide receiver 2 in Carolina right now. That's not going to be here for the long term. I would sell him for a third-round pick. I would sell Odell for a second-round pick. Hate trading for picks all the way out in 2025 because it's just boring. You don't really know what the situation's going to be like, but still, I mean, give me the rookie picks any day of the week there. Now, going over to our next one, we're going to be looking at the 201 versus Allen Robinson and A.J. Dillon. Allen Robinson, just the name at this point. Allen Robinson has no and should not have any fantasy football value. It's, do you want A.J. Dillon or the 201? I mean, I don't think Dillon's the worst buy in Dynasty at the moment, but I do think you could actually probably get him for a little bit less now that Jones has restructured his contract. Now, going over to our next deal, we're going to be looking at another Trey Lance trade. This is Lance and a first plus David Montgomery versus Devonta Smith, a 2024 first, and 2 future second-round picks. So if we're going to break this down, I think that we can safely say you would rather have the 2 second-round picks over David Montgomery, correct? Is that a safe assumption from everybody? We would rather have the second-round picks over David Montgomery. Don't really know the situation that David Montgomery will find himself in, but I mean, has to be pretty damn good for him to be worth those 2 seconds at this point. You would easily rather have Devonta Smith over Trey Lance. Not even close. This is coming from someone who really likes Lance. I don't know where that 2023 first is. They didn't include it in the tweet. Unless that 2023 first is either the 101, 102, 103, you got to sell Lance here. You got to go get Devonta Smith and the rookie picks. Now, going over to our next deal, this is going to be a 3-team trade. So we got a lot to look at. We have Metcalf, Ayuk, Claypool on the top side for Russ, Lockett, McKenzie, Jerry Jeudy, and the 303. I understand Jerry Jeudy's had a lot of hype as of late. And trust me, I was the guy saying Jerry Jeudy was the wide receiver 1 for the Denver Broncos last offseason, while Courtland Sutton was the most overrated player in fantasy football. But I've honestly found that, I think the Jerry Jeudy hype's gotten a little out of control. Like, people are very excited about Jerry Jeudy now after clowning on me for all offseason saying that he was the wide receiver 1 for the Broncos. I don't think there's that big of a difference between Jerry Jeudy and Brandon Ayuk. I would rather have Jeudy, but between the two of them, I think that they are comparable. Lockett, at this point, really no value. The 3rd-round pick, really no value. Isaiah McKenzie, really no value. Chase Claypool, really no value. If I'm going to be breaking this down to make it look a little easier, DK Metcalf and Ayuk versus Russell Wilson and Jerry Jeudy. I think it is a very fair trade. I think I probably go with the DK Metcalf side. If I really needed a quarterback, I could understand wanting Russ, though, or if I was a Denver Broncos fan. Now, going down to our next one, Russ Akers, the 201 versus Metcalf, Chuba Hubbard. Here I actually may take Russ Akers and the 201. Chuba Hubbard has no value whatsoever. And then the very bottom trade, you're looking at Lockett, McKenzie, Jeudy, Hubbard, and the 303 versus Ayuk, Claypool, Akers, the 201. Let's just throw away the garbage, throw away Chuba Hubbard, throw away Isaiah McKenzie, throw away the 303, throw away Chase Claypool. Would you rather have Tyler Lockett, Jerry Jeudy, or Ayuk, Cam Akers, the 201? Probably give me Ayuk, Cam Akers, and the 201, even though I'd say from a Dynasty trade value perspective right now, probably could get a little more for Jeudy. Jeudy has just a ton of hype. Now, going over to our next deal, going to be another A.J. Dillon trade, but more importantly, we got Bijan Robinson in this one. It's Bijan versus Dillon, Jameson Williams, and the 103. Give me Bijan, not thinking twice about it. I think Jameson Williams is worth slightly more than the 112. I know a lot of people really like Jameson. I think he'll be a good NFL player. Questions about fantasy. So I'd rather have Jameson Williams a little bit over that 112, But if we're looking at the 101 versus AJ Dillon, the 103, it's not even close. Give me Bijan Robinson there. Now, our next deal is the most painful trade I have ever had to talk about. Trey Lance was traded alongside the 103, 105 for Justin Fields, DJ Moore, and the 208. I need to be on record. Justin Fields is a much better Dynasty fantasy football asset than Trey Lance. If you've ever heard someone say that Trey Lance was better in Dynasty than Justin Fields, you should clown on that person every single day. I don't know if I've ever heard that be said out loud. I don't know. May or may not have. But now that we've gotten that out of the way, the 105 versus DJ Moore will be the 105, not even remotely close. DJ Moore, in my mind, is going to a situation where Justin Fields himself is an elite quarterback in fantasy, but the passing volume will not be there. Very similar to wide receivers for the Baltimore Ravens, the Chicago Bears, about the same spot. I would argue a little worse. 103 and Trey Lance versus Justin Fields. That 103 pick's going to be, say, Anthony Richardson, CJ Stroud, Bryce Young, one of those guys. So in my mind, we are getting two shots at quarterback there. Plus, in my mind, a massive W when we're getting the 105 over DJ Moore. That's Jackson Smith-Njigba versus DJ Moore, not even remotely close. So if we put names to this, the 208 doesn't really have any value in this deal. Trey Lance, Bryce Young, and Jackson Smith-Njigba versus Justin Fields and DJ Moore, I will take the Trey Lance side. Easily give me Justin Fields over Trey Lance in Dynasty straight up. I will have to admit that one. I'll have to take my L there. But if we are going to be getting Bryce Young and Jackson Smith-Njigba added on, I got to go with the rookie picks. Now, our next deal, 102 versus Terry McLaurin and 2 later first. Give me the Terry McLaurin 2 later first side. I mean, if this was a scenario where you were playing in maybe a league where you had to only start 5 guys and were chasing the highest ceiling possible, sure, you maybe go with the 102. But I think the depth here makes a lot of sense. If it was the 101, would be a different story. But I think that's all I got for you. Again, thank you so much for being a member of the Flock. Thank you for supporting the channel. If you want to join the Flock officially, you can do so on flockfantasy.com. Get all my rankings. Get premium access to our articles, live streams, videos. At the same time, get an in-depth podcast review of your team. Have your trades included in this trade show. Flockfantasy.com, promo code FLOCK. You'll get 30% off. And with promo code FLOCK, you will get an in-depth podcast from yours truly. But thank you again. I appreciate you. Really hope you have a great day and really hope we get to see you with the video tomorrow.